guys, how are you? Good afternoon. I did not realize that when I scheduled this through the Melon app that I scheduled it for 10 a.m. So the description you see is a little wonky. I will fix it when we are done so that those of you on YouTube have a much better description. This is called the Wild Cooking Show on this channel. Channel is called Healthy in a Wild World. Why? Because stuff like this happens every single day. We have real life in this house. We have real life in this kitchen. And in the recipes that we talk about and make, as well as the discussions we have on Monday. I am all about all-encompassing health, so let's get to it, shall we? I've been excited for this for several weeks, and I really wanted to do it just before we hit May, mostly because A, it is absolutely delicious, but B, it's going to help with the poll that you see up in the Facebook group right now. I put up a poll for our May menu, and I need to get that out to you guys the early part of the week. People in the membership will get recipes this coming weekend, usually about a day or two early, and then everybody within the public general free group will get everything either on the last day of the month or the first day of the month, or last day of the ending month, first day of the new month, depending. Last month, you guys got it a few days early. So as long as I have all the information, I'm going to put it out there to you. With the people in our membership, we have some goals and things that we talk about each and every month as the month ends, as the month begins. And as such, it's good to know as you guys are planning what's coming up. If that's going to fit into what you have for your meal planning and your budgeting, the goals that you have in your program with me, or if we need to tweak it a little bit. So that's why a lot of the members actually access that and have recipes before everybody else. All right, so today, what is on the menu is cashew pineapple chicken. And one of the things that we are going to talk about, and have actually talked about for quite a while on this live, on the Thursday lives, is how to replace. One thing I noticed over the last couple of weeks as I started to do this live is I'm shopping for ingredients thinking, okay, we're going to make it exactly as it is, right? But that hasn't happened. What I found is that, there we go, okay. What I have found is there's at least one ingredient I don't have because it's out of stock somewhere, or because for whatever reason I can't find it at that time. So we're going to shift the focus of this weekly live just a smidge. One of the things that we actually are going to make sure that we do each week is discuss the things that we can replace easily. Things that, let's say you have everything in your house except for XXX, but you have XXX. You can still make this dish. Stir fry for me, stir fry and tacos, you guys. You can pop a can of beans, heat them up with a little taco seasoning, throw them on a tortilla with some vegetables, and you have tacos. You don't need the meat. I'm granted if you have the meat, for those of you that are omnivore too, you enjoy it a little bit more, right? But you don't need it. If you have beans and you have some vegetables in the house, you have tacos. Tacos are made with an Asian flavor, with a Mexican flavor, with all sorts of flavors now. Stir fries, exactly the same thing. The recipe that we are making today is a traditional Asian flavor. Okay, it's got the Asian flair, the stuff that we want to taste, the ginger, the garlic, the onions, the spice to have a little bit of kick, right? The things that we want in our stir fry. Stir fry to me is a go-to. It's just like what I was talking about with the tacos. Throw a bunch of things in a skillet, stir fry it up, get the veggies in there because the veggies will do, meat or beans, whatever your flavor is. Flavor, right? Spices it up a little bit. Today, you will notice that this recipe contains 0 meat. That's not to say you can't put some in, but for purposes of the meal plan and for flexibility for those who are plant-based and vegan versus plant-based and not, the majority of our monthly meal plan is designed to be vegan. Not because I expect that you're going to eliminate meat from your diet, because there is a multitude of ways that you can make meat, but there are a small handful of ways that you can make it very versatile. So that's what we focus on the meal plan and in our cooking. All right, so for today, we're making it strictly vegan. This recipe comes out at, I believe, 350 calories. Yep, 343 calories, okay? And there's a lot of sodium in this one, and it's mostly because of the sauces. You don't actually have to add that much sodium in. So if you are someone who is heart healthy, all of the, like the coconut aminos and the fish sauce, take it down a little bit. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can throw just a smidge of it in. It's to get the salt flavor within it, as well as that soy sauce flavoring. And I'm not sure how to say that without saying salt and sodium. You don't actually need to make a stir fry with soy sauce. Let me just put it that way. One of my favorite ways to make it, and I might do this next month in our meal plan, and I put out in the poll, simple stir fry, right? So I'm thinking maybe I will do, there you go guys, I didn't realize, okay. Maybe what I'll do is I will make my really simple Mandarin. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, Mandarin, that means Mandarin China. No, it means Mandarin orange fruit preserves. That's what it means. Not Mandarin China. But it turns out delicious. And I don't put soy sauce in. Do that next month. Something to consider. So now here's what we have for today. We're going to chop up some vegetables here. We're going to discuss some alternatives, some things that I'm swapping in and out, and then we're going to head to the stovetop and start cooking because it's stir fry. Everything that happens with the stir fry happens on the stovetop. So we're going to cut up our onions, cut up our peppers, have a little chat while we do so, and then we're heading over. All right, so now, mighty, that's not what this is, but whatever knife this is absolutely amazing. So, let me just say that it is absolutely amazing. Brian found it, he did some research on it, and it was like some amazing knife that we had to have in our kitchen, and I love it, you guys. It's scary, nice. Put it that way. It's so those of us with avocado hand have 2 levels of knives. If you have avocado hand, let me know if I'm right on this or if this is just me. There are 2 different kinds. Oh my god, I love this knife, but ooh, I need to be really super careful. And yeah, it's a nice knife. And we use it all the time because, you know, we're terrified of knives now. It's, you know, you go through something like that, and I'm sure anybody who has had an accident while cooking and using knives can relate. Scared. I'm scared of the knives. You don't really mess with them all too much. So with your onions and peppers, the one thing I can suggest, as someone who is not a professional chef, we chop these up based on the size of the food that we like to eat, okay? So this recipe calls for cubes. What you're looking for in anything that you ever make is to try and get things about the same size. It cooks better. I can pretty much tell you that I try. Let's put it that way. I try. Do I get it every time? Yeah, no. I'm on it. Other times, not so much. Now, if you looked at the recipe, you notice it says green pepper, and I'm chopping up a yellow pepper. This is red pepper. This is not that either. The trio I bought had a red, orange, and yellow pepper. Now, something that many of us don't think about is all of these bell peppers are exactly the same. The green, the yellow, the orange. It's just a different ripeness. That's right. Green is not ripe. This is ripe. So, yellow will be the next stage. And then orange, and then red, which is why I chose to use the yellow with the red. So, really, it's just closest to green. You know, the various flavors of peppers do change with ripeness. So, a red pepper is going to have a little heat, where a green bell pepper, Brian calls it a little, I don't eat pepper, so we're going to go with descriptions that everybody else has said. And it basically what I found in cooked dishes, because I cook with them, I won't go out of my way to eat them. Let me just put it that way. So with green peppers, it's kind of like any other food that is not quite ripe yet. It's just not as sweet, you know, there's not as much of a bite. The bell pepper, red bell pepper in general, does have a bite to it. There's a kick, okay? And your yellow and your red, you're gonna have a little sweetness there, not as much bitterness as in a green pepper, and not as much of a kick as in a red pepper. Right? This recipe actually calls for half a serrano pepper. I could not find a serrano pepper, but I found these very random hot peppers. I honestly couldn't tell you what they are. I thought I had taken a picture of it so I could tell you, and not on my phone. So I don't know where the picture went, but it's not here. So it is a very spicy, looks like a jalapeno, like a very mini jalapeno. And yes, I will definitely look that up and put it into one of those index thingies on YouTube so you guys know what pepper is. These are going into the pan at the same time. So I'm just chopping them and putting them with the other peppers. Another thing that, you know, another reason why they use green and red and orange and yellow and all that in flavor dishes like this, because if you notice, green and red peppers, right? Serrano's usually green. Orange carrots, broccoli is green, snap peas are green, pineapple's yellow. Whole wide range of a rainbow, right? So you have a rainbow dish. Pretty cool. All right, so we need 2 garlic cloves, so that's what we're going to do here. To show you a trick with the garlic cloves. So the fun with stir fries and that rainbow, the reason I bring it up is you could literally look at your and say, what rainbow? All right, you ready? You're supposed to mince these. You're going to bang on this. Make sure the knife part is facing away, that it's on this bulb, and your hand is striking the dull stuff. Be very, very, very careful with this, you guys. And we are going to literally smash it. Ready? Careful to the remote. All right. We now have smashed garlic. If you like garlic, it's actually a really cool way to put it into stir fries because you get these big chunks. If not, a little bit of dicing. Second one, same thing. Very, very, very careful with this. Make sure the pointed end is down, okay, sharp side down. Do not let the kids do this. Flat knife, make sure your fingers aren't under it because you will smash your fingers. That's a good smash. All right, hold on, let me show you. Look at this. See how it's kind of falling apart? That's what you want in a smash. Why? Because just simply doing this a few times, and now you have and start with press the thing out of there. All right. The only other thing we need to do is chop up our onion. Were you guys around? Were you paying attention when I remember? We don't cut this end off, we cut this end off. We need half an onion, right? This onion has a very green side and a very white side. So we're going to use this side. And what I do, I chop it just on the outside. It's just on the outside of that. And I chop it at an angle. I still get the half onion, right? From here. Now the reason you don't take it away from that knot until the very, very, very last second, onions make you cry. You don't take it away until the very last second, the chances of you crying are minimal. And I proved that when you chop that in half and you cut it off like that, you just start crying and tearing up. I did that just a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what we were making, but whoo, man. All right, are you ready? We need to go over to the oven and make up all this stuff. For those of you joining us on YouTube, I can see comments from every other platform except Facebook, so I always log into Facebook and kind of pay attention to both sides. All right, so I'm going to take this over here. I'll come back and get you in just a second. Oh, so exciting. So exciting, so exciting. All right, let's see my lovely, I think I'm getting some tomatoes, you guys. I think I'm actually getting some. That would just be phenomenal. All right, so. Okay, let me get a pan on here, and we will get to cooking. How's it sound? So the very first thing that we're going to do is our cashews and our sesame. As I come across there, as I can, is that I'm not picking up a wok. I don't own a wok. I don't have a wok. Mostly because I found the ones that I really truly want. You have to season after every time, and I don't want to season it after every time. I'm going to move you a little closer so you can really see what's happening. All right, now the oil that we are using here, we have olive oil and we have sesame seed oil, right? So we're here. Computer. And the recipe is right up here. I usually have the recipe written down because when I cook for myself and my family, I don't pay attention to actual ingredients. So I want to make sure for you guys I'm at least following the recipe as it is written. All right, so we need olive oil for cashews and for sesame seeds. Okay. We need 3/4 of a cup of cashews and a 1/4 cup sesame seeds. Ready? 3/4 of, let's see, 1/4 cup for sesame seeds. 3/4 cup. Here. Ready? Ooh. You need some fire to cook. Usually helps. Usually. All right, so you want about a tablespoon. Yes, I splashed it about. And what you're going to do is you are going to take your nuts, sesame seeds, and toast them. An easy way to do this in advance, you can do this with any of your nuts. Lay them out on a sheet pan, coat it in oil, and any seasoning you want. Honey roasted nuts are literally just oil and honey. Coat it all over the nuts, and then either cooked in a pan or roasted in the oven. Between 350 to 425, depending on your oven, depending on heat, how strongly it holds heat. That determines whether you are going to use a 425-degree oven or a 350-degree oven. Usually for roasting at this house, in the air fryer oven, I use 375. In the stacker oven, I actually use 425 degrees. That oven has a tendency to lose its heat. It is the most annoying thing. You have a temperature gauge in each of them. So the air fryer runs hot, where the regular oven runs cold. Random, huh? All right, so we got our sesame seeds in there. We have our cashew nuts. We're basically going to let that cook and stir, and then we're going to set it aside. All right, so I use a spatula. Feel free. I find that when I use one of those, I spray things all over the kitchen. So what you want to do with this is just make sure everything is coated. The sesame seeds would be a little difficult to see, but make sure all of your cashews are coated, right? All right, so we're going to let that sit for a minute. You're going to hear it fluffy. I'm going to get our vegetables. Right? So, that means are usually everywhere. So we always have peas and carrots in the house. So peas and carrots. And then for our broccoli, I usually buy frozen, mostly because when I buy from the farmer's market or I buy from the fresh produce section, I am the worst at making sure I cook it in time before it goes bad. Like, I'm the worst. So, in order to not waste food, I generally buy the frozen. I prefer fresh, but if I'm not going to make it right away, I don't. Okay, so we're going to let that. You do want it to sit. I know I stir a lot, but You want this kind of sit. You want to feel that, or not feel, hear the sizzle. Okay? And what's going to happen is we're going to remove that and put it into a bowl. Okay? And then we're going to put all the vegetables in with another olive oil, a little bit of olive oil. This recipe uses a lot more olive oil than your sesame seed oil. Sesame seed oil can get expensive, and as such, it's generally nowadays that you'll find in a more American recipe. The traditional recipe you're going to use more sesame seed oils, rice vinegars, things like that. Now, what we're going to do, here's the process. So we cook our nuts, cook our vegetables, then we put the pineapple inside. Now, one of the things that this does not talk about is what to do with the pineapple juice. Now, I take the pineapple juice, once everything's made, I take the pineapple juice and I let it blend in with the sauce at the end. And what you're going to do with the sauce at the end is you put everything in the pan on top of the veggies and nuts and everything, right? And then from there, you let it simmer and reduce down. So, really, really infuse pineapple flavor. I do like to use, but I'm telling you guys, I want syrup. Ooh, well, that was a screw up. I always do 100% juice. Hold on. So, I always do 100% juice because it'll have the pineapple. Pineapple. About anything. Sure. Okay. So you see how, oh, those are really toasty. All right. You know what? Here, hold on. Let's try this again. It's going to be a fun over food. So here's something that is I've always had very long time. If I make something, the new recipe, and it tastes like shit, it tastes awful, whatever, right? We toss it, and we order pizza, which I know I really can't have, but oh, perfect. Okay, we can't screw these up now. That was the last of my cashews. Screw it up. All right, so we're gonna toast these. We're gonna pay attention this time. And yes, this is real life. This is what happens when you come to my house. I'm a talker. I can talk my way into a burnt dish any day. But I love to cook, so, you know, it's kind of one of those things. I got to make sure I do it the right way, right? All right, so this is what should happen. It's darkening, but not as much as it was. All right, so when you see the cashews mostly darkened, right? Where you have that dark hinge on there. When you see most of the cashews have that on them, and as you can tell, it literally takes maybe a minute or two. That's when you want to pull everything out. Got the toasted flavor within it. This one of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is I have a lot of wrist injuries. So, trying to pour things out of dishes. The whole gripping issue. A minute. Now, it's okay if you have some of this inside, still inside the pan, because it's all going to get combined in the end anyway. Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys. The smell. If you've never roasted sesame seeds before, I mean, look at this. This is what your cashews and sesame seeds should look like. If you've never toasted sesame seeds, I highly recommend it. The flavor is just amazing. But the smell, oh my God, these smell. It's like an Asian restaurant just wafted into your house. Amazing. So you put some more olive oil in. Hands so hot. What you're going for is more fragrant right now, because we're going to put all this in here. And then we're going to put the vegetables in, but they're coming frozen, which means this fish is going to cool for a minute and then come back up. So you don't want the onions and the peppers fully cooked, but you do want some translucency. You want everything mixed in well. And in that way, you'll be able to ensure that you get some crispness in the peppers and translucency, even cooking in the oven, in the onions without overcooking them. So once they start to all get fairly translucent, which happens rather quickly, peppers and onions chopped like this, they don't take much to cook them. All right, so, yeah, all right, here you go. See that? So it's starting to get translucent. It's got a couple of really good translucent, fully translucent pieces. Flavor. Oh, the flavor. Okay. So you need half cup carrots, cup snap peas, which we're going to use regular peas. So let's do this. Let's get this open. Your stuff is fine. Broccoli actually has something. I'm measuring this only because you guys are watching. All right. So now, when you look and you see a cup of snap peas and half cup carrots, with the amount of peppers and onions in there, I see. Yeah, see, you can do another half cup of this. All right. Eyeball that sucker. Put it in there. Side. Broccoli is going to come in here. It's going to be about a cup. There we go. Mix that in nicely. Oh, look at all that red and yellow. You definitely need more green in here. Yeah, even this stuff out. All right. So now that cooled it down really slightly. Yay, florets. They're like small florets. Good. Okay. Sometimes you buy this broccoli. Broccoli florets. And they're huge bunches. This. And actually, if you look, you could do more broccoli in here. What do you guys think? Put more broccoli. We're totally putting more broccoli in. The joy of stir fries. Leftovers. So just like anything really, leftovers of stir fries, especially one that is made in this fashion, is going to be nice and juicy because overnight in the fridge, as it's cooling to be put into the fridge, you don't want to put anything into the fridge that's hot. A, it can screw up your refrigerator, but B, it screws up your food. So you always want to make sure that your dishes are nice and cool before putting them into the refrigerator. Right? So we're going to let that mix up just real quick. Got some of this ball thing. You know, one of those ball pits, except it has like 50 million things in it. Like, I think there are 3 ball pit areas where you could use a ball pit, and one of them is a triangle. All right, so we're putting the pineapple in. I saw the bright cherry can. I fell for the can. All right, so I like mine with some grill on the bottom. Will tell you this about this pineapple that I bought. It is not as bright as I normally find even in a can. All right, so what's going to happen is we're going to let the pineapple cook out. Get a little bit of a coating on the bottom, then I'm going to mix it in. And then we're going to put our cashew back in. And then we put our secret sauce in. Right? And that's the point we are at right now. Where we want secret sauce. Oh, ginger. I do not have a ginger fruit. So I'm putting ground ginger in. Now this calls for a tablespoon. Yep, tablespoon of minced ginger. The joy of ginger is dry or fresh. A tablespoon is a tablespoon. Here's why. Because yes, dried, it is going to have to use more, right? But flavor won't be there. So whenever you use herbs, fresh always gives you much more fragrant and intense profile using dry. Okay? So when you're using, if a recipe calls for fresh and then you're using dried, you want to kind of look at what the profile is, because chances are you're going to have to increase what you're using because you're not going to get that flavor on it. I put it on the pineapple because the sweet in the pineapple, those juices that are coming out, it's going to create that thick consistency. But because of that, the ginger will pop out in this recipe simply because I put it on a moist surface. That moist surface soaked it up. All right. So from here, we put our mix back in. We're going to turn down heat because we want this to be at a simmer, not at a stir fry. Okay. Stir fried everything. So now we mix everything in. Right? And from here, we put, oh, it smells so good. You can literally eat it as is. Tastes better with the sauce, but you can literally eat it as is. Oh my gosh. My favorite way to do this is either chicken or fish and some pineapple, fresh if you can find it. I wasn't liking the pineapple that I was seeing. That's why we're not using the fresh pineapple. So fresh if you can do it. If you don't, if you don't see it, you don't see it. Pineapple. I like pecans. I know it's not traditional Asian, but pecans with chicken or shrimp, broccoli, pineapple, and some red pepper. Oh, like cayenne red pepper. But so good. Like heat, that's how you get heat Now, making this at home by yourself is only going to take you about 20 to 25 minutes. We've been talking this time. It really won't take very much time. You'll get it in, you'll get it out, and you'll be done. Now, with the pineapple cubes, you're only going to let this cook for maybe 5 minutes, and then you're going to do everything else, all right? Now, we need coconut aminos, basically coconut aminos. Oh, hold on. Or the version of soy sauce. Okay, so those of you who cannot have soy sauce, you have this. I thought it started you. Remember how I talked to you about mandarin orange? So I make it with the jam. In a pinch, this is a good sauce to go to. You only need about 2 tablespoons for something this size. Huh. All right. Now we need 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos, 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, we need lime juice, and then plum vinegar. I saved my life. I've got no idea where to find it. Probably an Asian market. But one of the things I want from this cooking series is I want you to be able to go to your grocery store, farmer's market, whatever, get everything you need. It's tough enough trying to create meals for families when you have sensitivities and intolerances, right? All right, so we have fish sauce. Fish sauce is something you use a lot of. Would you get a little bit? Okay. All right, so half a lime is a tablespoon or 2. So here's how we're going to do the lime. Perfect. A tablespoon of plum vinegar. The plum vinegar has multiple alternatives, all right? Red wine vinegar, balsamic vinegar, brown rice, and sherry, all right? If you are not a drinker, if you don't do alcohol, if you are in a sober lifestyle, or you just simply prefer not to, sherry and red wine vinegar are out. With balsamic vinegar and brown rice, supposedly the brown rice vinegar is supposed to be the best option. We have sherry in the house, so we're going to go with sherry. Ooh. Okay, well, we're going to go with a lot of sherry. How about that? All right, now, and that's basically it. Stir all this up so that every part of it can get coated. Oh, so good. All right. That is stir fry. And the easiest way I can tell you to create a stir fry is simply pick your vegetables. For an Asian flavor, you want garlic, you want some peppers, you want to make sure there's a little bit of ginger in there, some nuttiness. Really tastes amazing with cashews, pecans. I'm not sure about other nuts. Those are the 2 I use. Sesame seeds really give it a nutty flavor and that nutty smell, that peanut kind of flavoring and aroma. Toss everything in. Cook your vegetables first. If you have meat, I would say cook your meat and then put your meat in here to let it simmer. And when you let it simmer and the meat and the vegetables are cooked separately, you want to make sure that it simmers for a good 15, 20 minutes. All right? So, that all being said, you're done. Dinners, sir. I will chat with you guys on Monday. We have another great topic to discuss for tonight. Here. your dish. What do you think?